Hello, everyone, and welcome to MG28 Talks Tech. And I hope wherever you are today, you are living the dream just like I am. My name is Mac, and I will be your host for these talks. With over a decade of experience in the technology profession, I am hoping to bring what I know to all of you in an easy to understand way. We will cover a wide variety of topics, so if you have anything you want covered, make sure to leave it in the comments section or hit me up on one of my social media accounts that will be in the description. If you enjoy these talks, make sure to like and subscribe or even share with a friend so we can reach others and make a fun and collaborative community here. We will get started in just a few seconds, so lean back, take a drink of your favorite beverage, and come along and take an adventure into our talk today. Alright guys, today I am talking about passwords. It's a love-hate relationship with passwords, I know, for a lot of people. Right? So we got to have them to get into all of our accounts. But I know a lot of people get frustrated with how long they have to be and all the requirements for them. So I kind of want to give my thoughts on what could be helpful in handling passwords and creating them and things like that. Again, these are just my ideas. If you guys have, other ideas or tips and tricks, go ahead and post them in the comments below and share those with everyone, and maybe we can help each other out on this one. All right, so I'm going to talk about how to do a memorable password, ways I kind of help with that, what is a tiered password system, and how we can use that to approach passwords. And then how often do we really need to change our passwords? I know some people say change them every quarter, change them once a year, change them every 30 days. So I'm going to talk about kind of my thoughts on that and how we can use a tiered approach on that as well. And then I want to finish up by talking about multi-factor authentication. Should we use it? Is it helpful? Things like that. So how do we make a memorable password? So first I start kind of thinking of a phrase. So I have two dogs, Shay and Ellie. They're my dogs and they love to be petted. So how can we turn that phrase into a password? So here's my example, right? Shay and Ellie are my dogs that love to be petted. So you see, I use really the first letter of each part of that phrase. And instead of using an A for and, I used an ampersand. So that's my special character there. And then instead of an L, I used a 1 because they look kind of similar, right? A lowercase L kind of looks like a 1. And so that's my number. So that's a good solid password. It's long. It's got special characters and it's got a number. All right, so let's talk about this tiered password approach. Now that we have the idea of how we can make a memorable password, I have 3 tiers here, right? So I have the green, the white, and the red tier. That outside tier, that green level tier, this is really going to be for accounts that aren't going to be a big impact if they're breached. It'll be kind of more annoying than anything. So this is going to be like your social media accounts, your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram, anything that doesn't really have financial information in there. And then you get to your middle tier. So these might have like your credit card number, your last 4 of your credit card on there. So it's a medium impact if it's breached. That'll have some personal identifiable information, which we call PII. But it's not going to be as big impact as this last tier that we're going to talk about. So this might be like your streaming services, your subscription services. If you do, Chewy for your dog stuff, or if you do Disney Plus or Hulu, Netflix, something like that. All right, so we get to this last tier. This is going to be the biggest harm if it is breached. So this is going to be your bank accounts, anything that's got social security numbers, passport numbers, things like that. So how do we take this tiered approach now that we understand what these tiers are and we implement that with our passwords, right? So your green level here is going to be your easiest password. So, for example, I might make a password with the phrase, my least favorite fruit is cherries, which is true. I really don't like cherries. So it's a bit shorter of a password. It still has your uppercase, your lowercase letters. It has an exclamation point, which isn't always great to use in a password because most people that's a special character they use. But it meets all the criteria, and it's still a pretty good password. And then you have your medium strength password. So I'm going to make it a little bit longer, a little bit more difficult to guess, or for a password cracker to be able to crack that password. So the example here is the sunset has always been special to me and my wife. I guess English-wise, that should be my wife and I, but password's sake, I did to me and my wife. So you see this is longer than my easiest password, and it doesn't use an exclamation point. It uses an ampersand, and it has the capital letters and the lowercase letters that all meet that criteria. Now we get to our hardest password. So this is an example of a very strong password. You see, it is longer than the rest of them. It does have multiple uppercase, lowercase letters. It has numbers, and it has multiple special characters. So from that point, this is going to be a pretty hard password for someone to guess or for a password cracking technology to hack into in order for them to crack. All right, now we've made memorable passwords. Do I really need to change these passwords all the time? We're going to go back to our tiered approach. All right, we got our 3 tiers again. We got our easy tier. All right, maybe for this one, you just change it every year. Because if it gets breached, yeah, there is little impact, but the impact's minimal. And you still made a pretty decent password for it. All right, so if we go to our middle tier, maybe we change this one every 6 months because there's greater impact, but not as big impact as if our last tier was breached, right? So we could change this one every 3 months. Now, I know some of you guys are going to say that's still a lot of password changing, Mac. And I understand it is. So, again, this is just my thoughts, my opinions here. But at least, please change your passwords every year. All right? If you don't do anything else, please change them every year. All right, so let's talk about multi-factor authentication. You're starting to see this, go into effect and be an option on probably most of your accounts. Multi-factor authentication is an additional protection because it requires you to have, like it says, multiple factors. So that's going to be like something like a password, and something you have, like a text message on your phone. Or I know for some companies, it's you might have a key fob or a PIV card if you're in the government. That's something you have. Something would be a PIN. They do that with banks, right? So that's why you have to have a PIN and a debit card, because that's multi-factor authentication. It's something and something you have. So if it is offered, it is a good idea to use it. I would suggest putting multi-factor authentication, especially on that red tier we talked about. Make sure you're putting multi-factor authentication on those accounts. It makes it much more difficult for someone to be able to hack into that account. All right, guys, let's review what we discussed today. So we talked about how I look at using phrases to create strong, memorable passwords, using a tiered approach to passwords, so that easy, medium, hard tiered approach we talked about, and then using that same tiered approach on when you should change passwords, but at least changing your passwords yearly. And then we talked a little bit about what multi-factor authentication is, and that we should definitely be using it when it's offered. Hey everyone, thank you for watching and listening today. If you found this video helpful and or enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting weekly videos on different topics within the technology realm. If you have any thoughts, questions, or even ideas for topics you would like me to cover, make sure to drop it in the comments or hit me up on LinkedIn or Twitter, listed in the description and in my bio. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope you all go out and live the dream. Until next time, see ya.